Hi, my friends. I'm so excited to be reading to you today. It's Monday. Hopefully, you don't feel like this poor little doggy here. If you celebrated Easter on Sunday, you may feel like that because you probably had one too many pieces of candy. If you were in my house, that's how we feel. I am so excited to be reading to you probably my favorite book ever. I loved Winn-Dixie, don't get me wrong, but One and Only Ivan is just incredible. And I've read it so many times. I still cry at the same parts and I still laugh at the same parts. So it goes to show that books can be read over and over and over. And I know Miss Bailey, Mr. Lowers had said that we were reading Tuesday, Thursday, but we decided this has so much good stuff in it that we're moving it to must-dos on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we're going to read it all, taking turns to, just like we've been. And we're going to have some really fun stuff for you to answer as an entire third grade class. So there's going to be 75 people working on some of these little projects that we have going on. So I'm going to click through our new Google presentation for week 2, and you're going to come to this page. And you'll see the One and Only Ivan cover. You'll need your Chromebook, of course, or some sort of device. And then it says a Padlet. And I'm going to show you what that is in a little bit. I'm going to read to you first, and then I'm going to show you where to click on that. 2 things. If you did not listen to Mr. Lowers and Miss Bailey last week, put down everything and click here to see Mr. Lowers' first read and Miss Bailey's second read. That is so important because if you don't know what's happening sequentially in order, you're going to be lost. And now that this is a must-do, I've given you an opportunity to go back and listen to the Tuesday, Thursday first couple pages of this book. So I need you to do that first. Also, right before I started filming today, I found a podcast. It's a 7-minute little podcast of Katherine Applegate, actually on a news show, getting interviewed. And I am going to link that like right here because I really want you to listen to it. Oops. I want you to hear her talk, why she chose Ivan. I want you to hear some stories about Ivan because he was a real life animal, and she got her inspiration by learning about him, just like good writers do. Good writers have questions, so they go and research, and then they come up with these amazing stories like you do with Writing Workshop, and that's what Catherine did. Now, I'm going to warn you, there's some spoilers, 2 big ones. 1, I want to see if you get it in the interview, if you hear it, and 2, it's okay. I just want you to hear why Catherine chose the things that she chose to write about. I want you to hear about Ivan because he's a really cool dude and he's got his own personality, and she says that. And then on the radio show, kids actually can call in and ask authors questions. And so real life kids, just like you, called in and asked Catherine. So you may have the same questions on that little interview. So it's super short. So I want you to do that. I'm going to add that in here tonight before it's actually Sunday today because you guys have to do this on Monday morning. I had to do it before Monday morning comes. So those of you who get up early, you need to have all the links ready to go. And so then we're going to move on over here. This is a may do. So this is something you don't have to do. But I thought it would be really cool because Mr. Lowers and Miss Bailey asked you a few questions, and I thought, well, I know you can turn and talk to your family or your pets, but I thought if you want, as I'm reading to you today, or you can just listen and then go back and do this. This is a may do, you don't have to. But on this side of this document, you can just click here and just start typing answers to the questions we write. You can click on this side. You can just talk about questions you have, predictions you have, and then as people keep writing, we're just going to keep going with our thoughts, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and longer. And this is going to be kind of an ongoing reader's response since we can't do this at school. This is typically what we would do at school. So I wanted to show you that. And then I'm going to read to you just a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and click here on this Padlet so you know what to do as your must do. This is what I've been waiting to show you. So this is an actual live cam. It's a live webcam of gorillas, and they are in the wild right now. Ooh, one's coming through. There's another one. I know in my homeroom, I love to show pictures of the books that I'm reading. Like I'll just Google image and we'll just find a cute one and I have it up on my board. Every time I read a lot. Well, I thought, there are live webcams around the world that we can just watch real life gorillas right now. This is right now. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit so I can show you. And this is actually where Ivan came from. This is a website that was created just a few years ago. And it is all the way down here, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And this is where Kathleen Applegate talks about where Ivan was taken from. So this is kind of his homeland. So I thought this would be super cool. I might get distracted as I'm reading because I always want to see what's going on in the live cam. I had to turn the sound off because I would love for you to Google live webcams around the world. Zoos have them, rehab centers like this one have them, but they were so loud in the background. And then I had all my tabs open, and they were eating, and they were not the most polite eaters. So here we go. I'm just going to leave that on, and you can watch them kind of roll around as I read. So the last page that Miss Bailey read, I always like to read. My homeroom knows I always read the last paragraph. So she talked about Julia drawing. Sometimes Julia draws me. I'm an elegant fellow in her pictures with my silverback gleaming like moon on moss. I never look angry the way I do on the fading billboard of the highway, but I always look a little bit sad. So that always makes me think, everyone always thinks that he, and they talk about it in the book too, that he's supposed to be this mean silverback, but really the feelings that he's feeling is sad. And so as I read this, I'm questioning in my head, and this is what I would write on the Google Doc, why do people capture animals? Why do people hold them hostage when they should be out in this webcam that we're watching right now? If you can't see him, here he is. They're up doing their thing. They're climbing along. And so I Googled that, and then that's where I found Catherine Applegate's interview. That's where I found some of the other live web cameras. So if you have a question as you're reading a book, stop and try to do some research. Here we go. Drawing Bob. I love Julia's pictures of Bob. She draws him flying across a page, a blur of feet and fur. She draws him motionless, peeking out from behind a trash can, or the soft tail of Ma Belly. Sometimes in her drawings, Julia gives Bob wings or lion mane. Once, she gave him a tortoise shell, but the best thing she ever gave him wasn't a drawing. Julia gave Bob, what do you think? His name. For a long time, no one knew what to call Bob. Now and then, a mall worker would try to approach him with a tidbit. Here, doggy, doggy, they'd call him, holding out a french fry. Come on, Poochie. They'd say, how about a little piece of sandwich? But he always would vanish into the shadows before anyone could get too close. One afternoon, Julia decided to draw the little dog curled up in a corner of my domain. First, she watched him for a long time, chewing on that thumbnail. I could tell she was looking at him the way an artist looks at the world when she's trying to understand it. Finally, she grabbed her pencil and set to work. When she was finished, she held up the page. There he was, the tiny big-eared dog. He was smart and cunning, but his gaze was wistful. Under the picture, there were 3 bold, confident marks, circled in black. I was pretty certain it was a word, even though I could not read it. Julia's father peered over her shoulder. That's him exactly, he said, nodding. He pointed to the circle marks. I didn't realize his name was Bob, he said. Me neither, said Julia. She smiled. I had to draw him first. Bob and Julia. There they are sitting on the bench. So there's Julia, and Bob's kind of getting close to her feet. Bob will not let humans touch him. He says their scent upsets his digestion. But every now and then I see him sitting at Julia's feet. His fingers move gently just behind his right ear. Mac. Usually Mac leaves after the last show, but tonight he's in his office working kind of late. When he's done, he stops by my domain and stares at me for a long time while he drinks from a brown bottle. George joins him, broom in hand, and Mac says the things he always says. How about that game last night? Business has been slow, but it'll get better, you'll see. Don't forget to empty that trash. Mac glances over at the picture Julia's drawing. What you making? He asks. Oh, it's for my mom, Julia says. It's a flying dog. She holds up her drawing, eyeing it critically. She likes airplanes and dogs. Mac murmurs, sounding unconvinced. He looks at George. How's the wife doing anyway? About the same, George says. She has good days and bad days. Yeah, don't we all, Max says. At that point, I would pause and I would click on my Google Doc that I would be working on. What is going on with George's wife? She has good days and bad. Makes me wonder, is she sick? Is she going through something? Yeah, don't we all, Max says. Max starts to leave, then pauses. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a crumpled green bill, and presses it into George's hand. Here, Max says with a shrug. Buy that kid some more crayons. Mac already is out the door before George can yell, thanks. Not sleepy. Stella, I said after Julia and his father go home. I can't sleep. Of course you can. You're the king of sleepers. Shh, Bob says from his perch on my belly. I'm dreaming about chili fries. I'm tired, I say. But I'm not sleepy. What are you tired of? Stella asks. I think for a while it's hard to put into words. Gorillas are not complainers. We're dreamers. We're poets. We're philosophers, nap takers. I don't know exactly. I kick my tire swing. I think I may be a little tired of my domain. That's because it's a cage, Bob tells me. Bob is always not tactful. I know, Stella says. It's a small domain, and you're a very big gorilla, Bob adds. Stella? Yes. I notice you were limping more than usual. Is your leg bothering you? Just a little, Stella answers. I sigh. Bob resettles, and he flicks his ears. He drools a bit, but I don't mind. I'm used to it. Try eating something, Stella says. That always makes you happy. I eat an old brown carrot. That doesn't help. But I don't tell Stella. She needs to sleep. You try to remember a good day, Stella suggests. That's what I do when I can't sleep. Stella remembers every moment she was born, every scent, every sunset, every sight, every victory, everything. You know I can't remember much, I say. There's a difference, Stella says gently. This is an important part. You better listen. There's a difference between can't remember and won't remember. That's true, I admit. Not remembering can be difficult, but I've had a lot of time to work on it. Memories are precious. They help tell who you are. Try to remember all your keepers. You like Carl, the one with the harmonica. Oh, yeah, Carl, yes. I remember how he gave me a coconut when I was still a juvenile. It took me all day to open it. I try to recall all the other keepers I had known, the humans who cleared my domain and prepared my food and kept me company. There was Juan, and they poured things in my mouth, and Katrina used to poke me with a broom when I was sleeping, and Ellen, who sang, How much is that monkey in the window, with a sad smile when she scrubbed my water bowl. And there was Gerald, who once brought me a box of fat, sweet strawberries. Gerald was my favorite keeper. I haven't had a real keeper in a long time. Mac says he doesn't have the money to pay for an 8 babysitter those days. George cleans my cage, and Mac is the one who feeds me. When I think about all the people who have taken care of me, mostly I recall Mac, day in and day out, year after year. Mac, who brought me and raised me and says I'm no longer cute, and is as if a silverback could be cute. Moonlight falls on the frozen carousel of the silent popcorn stand and the stalls of leather belts that smell like long-gone cows. The heavy work of Stella's breathing sounds like the wind in trees, and I wait for sleep to find me. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to click on that here, and I have taken a photo of the page I just read. You're going to reread this sentence right here, and you could do the page too. She says there's a difference between can't remember and won't remember. She's talking about memories. He talks about the good keepers that he's had and then the not so good keepers that he's had. So I want you to tell me your thoughts about that, okay? What type of care, I'm looking up here at the directions, what type of care people that he's had would make good memories, and then why would he say there's memories that you don't and won't want to remember? So all you do is click on this little pink button. You're going to make sure that your name is up here if you're logged in. If not, you want to put your name, and then you're going to click down here, and you're going to write me an answer to my question or just a thought about that quote. Okay, I hope that helps. Let us know if you have any questions.